Hello, my name is Mark Hughes. I'm one of the principal developers of ScrumDo, a new Agile story management web app for Scrum teams. I'll be giving you a quick tour of some of the key features of ScrumDo today. Here I am on my ScrumDo homepage. I've just logged in. There's a listing here of all the projects I'm currently involved in. There's two different types of projects. There's projects that are associated with a person, and then there's projects that are associated with an organization. If you ever used a website like GitHub, you'll understand the differences here. But I'm going to go ahead and go into the ScrumDo Development Group organization. So when I go in there, I can see all the projects that are in this organization listed. Currently there's just the one, which is the ScrumDo website. I can also see all the different teams that make up this development group. Right now there's an owners and a viewers. Teams grant access to projects, so you can use this to kind of maintain a list of everyone that you work with, whether that's within a company or a development group. I'm going to go ahead and go into the ScrumDo project. This is the project that we actually use for the development of this website. So some of the stories that you see in here should be implemented on the site soon, which is kind of exciting. When you go to your project homepage, you can see the current iteration. Here I have iteration 3 because today happens to be December 3rd. You can see the total number of points over time and the number of points that we've claimed have been completed over time. Hopefully towards the end of the iteration those 2 points meet, but that doesn't always happen. We can also see a burn-up chart for the overall project. The same sort of data, just over a larger time frame. On the right here, we have some stats about the project. We have the current velocity, which is an average of the completed past iterations. There's a number of stories that we have in this project, and there's the number of iterations that are estimated left. Iterations left is just a simple calculation of the number of story points divided by our velocity of the uncompleted stories. Here we can also see our list of iterations and who's in the project. We have some administrative and import type options down here. Up here in the toolbar there's a iterations link, and that pulls up a list of all the different iterations in the project. I'm going to go ahead and go into the backlog right now. And from here, this is the entire backlog for the project. These are all the stories that are not yet completed. They haven't been assigned to an iteration yet. The project generally consists of a summary, such as this one. As a project owner, I want to be able to remove members from the project. It usually has a point value. This one has 5 points associated with it. Occasionally it has some extra detail or some acceptance criteria tacked on. We have a threaded comment system so that you can write about stories or make some notes about them as you go through the process. When you're in this backlog view, you can just go ahead and grab onto a story and drag it up or down to rank it. Items at the top of the list are considered the highest priority, and items at the bottom are the lowest. From here, I'm going to click on the iterations link again and go into the current iteration that we're working on, this iteration 3. Here's the current iteration view. Here you can see iteration 3, and here's the burn-up chart for that iteration again. We have a little countdown here of how many days are left in the iteration. There's some simple actions for editing the details of the iteration or adding stories. I'll get to those a little bit later. But again, we have the same sort of view of stories in our list, and in fact 2 of these stories I completed earlier today, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark them done. We have 4 statuses for stories right now. We got kind of the to do, which is the not done status, the doing, which kind of means they're in progress, and then we also have the reviewing status for if you're gonna have kind of a handoff to your QA team or have someone else look over your stories, and then the done. I'm just cheating for right now and saying these are done without anyone else looking at them, but that's because I'm a great developer and everyone can trust me. We have a series of tools that go along with the project. The first one is the iteration planning tool. This tool is designed so that you can look at your iteration that you want to plan plus your backlog at the same time. You can scroll through your backlog and see all your different stories. You still have the same types of editing and controls so that you can mark them complete or update them and all that sort of stuff from here. But the nice thing is you can plan your iteration by just dragging things from the top of your backlog over to your iteration, or sometimes it's not always from the top. You can pull from the middle, and maybe I want this one in my next iteration too. You can see I just scheduled about 34 points worth. Since I know that we can fit a few more points in the iteration, I'm actually going to just add a brand new story here. And that's as a potential User, I want to be able to watch a quick overview video. In fact, that's the video that I'm creating right now. I'm going to go ahead and just assign it 8 points right now. Normally you'd probably go through some kind of sizing meeting with planning poker or something like that. I'm going to tell it to go ahead and put it at the top of the backlog, and we add the story. And here it is, and I'm going to drag that into my iteration. And then if we went and looked at that iteration, those stories would be present there, and we could start working on that in a couple days. The second tool that I want to show you is the project history tool. This is kind of a bird's eye view of the history of your project and how you've been doing. Currently we're working on iteration 3, like I've mentioned, so you can see how our burn-up charts for iteration 1 and iteration 2 looked. Eventually we're going to be adding some more statistical information to this page so that you can get a better idea of what's been going on, but I think these graphs give you a pretty good look at things. The third tool that we have in our tools menu is the predictions tool. This looks at just stories on your backlog, stories that haven't been scheduled to be worked yet. It takes a look and sees when you have when the end of your next iteration is, so when it could theoretically start scheduling things if we just let the computer do it. And it makes some guesses about what will go into each iteration. So here it's saying that we're probably going to get through iteration 10 before we actually finish this project, and that's going to be around February 25th. And you can see how it broke up these stories. It put these 6 stories into iteration 5 and these 3 into iteration 3. And it's doing this just by a very simple calculation of taking the number of points that it thinks you can do in an iteration, looking at your ranking in the backlog, and just kind of listing them out. I can change some assumptions that it uses to make this this prediction. So if I thought that my average velocity was going to be higher or lower going forward, I could change that. If I wanted to change what our iteration length was, I could do that. I can also use this carry over points option, which is a little interesting. You notice here that in iteration 5, it's scheduled 52 points, but we're actually set up to go through 57 points in iteration, so it carries over 5 points the next iteration. And this kind of lets you see how tightly you could pack work if it was in a kind of an optimal organization. So that's the core features of ScrumDo. We're currently in rapid development of it, adding features, cleaning things up. There were a lot of smaller things that I didn't show you today, so head over to scrumdo.com, create an account, and give it a try.